first things first, thanks for having us. It feels like a real privilege to be able to have a whole 10 minutes to explain what we're doing, particularly when there are so many unbelievable projects happening across the county, often run by community organisations with real funding issues at the moment, and they're still finding a way to make those projects happen. So I really appreciate having the time to talk about what we're doing. So Oxfordshire All In, I've put a few slides together to explain a bit of the why, the how and the what's of what we're doing. We're all about data collection, mapping, communication, coordination and strategic tools. And I've put a few slides together to explain a little bit more what that means in each of those areas. But to start with the why, I guess we probably all felt this need 4 or 5 weeks ago for a rapid and joined up response to COVID-19. I think it was particularly on our minds that response was going to have to include and support a very wide range of groups and perspectives, from local grassroots community groups up to our public services and key infrastructural voluntary organisations. Inspiration came from 2 places too, in particular. One was the Oxfordshire Additional Needs Partnership, which we are involved in as founders and participants. And you know, we were thinking a lot 5 weeks ago, well, how do we know what our beneficiaries need, and how best can we help them? And it seems that the kind of structure that we might need as a platform for that wasn't all there. So Oxfordshire All In was in part an approach to put that structure in place. And Oxford Hub as well, I think, were really inspirational in terms of what they were doing on a city level. And certainly we wanted to see that kind of high quality work happening across the county, and for places to be as connected and joined up. So how we try to provide simple, flexible tools that enable people to get on with what they need to do best. We've tried to do that ever since with what our teams developed. And as I say, we'll come on to some example of those next. To give a bit of an overview though, we're now joining the dots between over 560 groups across the county, and there's a breakdown there of what those groups are at the moment. Those groups, particularly the local community grassroots support groups that have flourished across the county at this time, they reach 60,000 plus volunteers now that are working on the COVID response specifically, which is quite something. And that's been amazing to be able to. That's been an amazing community to be able to support with information and a community engagement team and all of the other tools that we provide. On our side, we've also mobilised a team of over 50 absolutely incredible people, including a wide range of volunteers, but also staff seconded from Active Oxfordshire, Health Watch and the Callaway Carnival. So a particular thank you to them for showing a lot of generosity and also vision and open-mindedness in making that capacity available to us, which has been crucial. So that's a little bit of the top line, what numbers. What are we actually doing? Well, we provide support to individuals and community groups. I've screenshotted a couple of pages from our website there to show the kind of local, sort of the tools we provide to individuals in particular. So if you're looking for local support, you can go onto the website and find your local group, and also find established community organisations and public services that are working in those areas. There's lots of guidance and resources on the website. There's a big community engagement team that does all sorts of things, including a daily bulletin, a community support group forum, and supports on the phone and via email, and also through a new programme of Zoom calls, which we've put together over the last couple of weeks. In terms of support for public bodies, community organisations and businesses, this is much more on the back end side. So we're doing a lot of data collection from community support groups, community organisations, businesses, and others. We then analyse and map that data in ways that we hope is useful, and then we share that so that other organisations can use that data and use those visualisations to aid their own decision making. On top of that work on data collection, analysis and mapping, we have ended up being one hub for coordinated large-scale targeted communications, and we've also done work in a number of areas on the bringing together of partners across sectors in particular, where they're coordinating on the work that we're doing. So that's a little bit of an overview. I've got a case study for each area to make it even more concrete what that looks like. So data collection and analysis, we worked alongside the organisations listed to co-produce a voluntary sector survey. That was to understand more about what the voluntary sector looks like at the moment, what beneficiary groups they're working with, what support they might need and what capacity they have to give. That's been really useful so far. We've had lots of responses. They continue to come in. This screenshot of a dashboard that we put together a couple of weeks ago shows how that data is then used. So it all comes into some kind of map or data visualization otherwise that allows us to see useful stuff. So for example, this screenshot happens to show a heat map of the capacity of community support groups across the county, and that was from a couple of weeks ago. On the mapping side, we've got a very obvious public-facing mapping tool on the public website, but then we also have private or back-end mapping tools which are being used by the districts and county council and some public services to help with brokering support requests at their end. It's been great to be able to provide those tools. On communication and community engagement, I've mentioned already the forums or the forum that we host and provide as a hub for community support group leaders to come to, share, coordinate, talk with each other, and hopefully go back to their own groups feeling stronger and more resilient and more supported. We have a daily bulletin that goes out to the same groups every day. Two, I mentioned the programme of Zoom calls or workshops already. We're really excited that one of those is going to be from Age UK Oxfordshire soon on the topic of bereavement, and we welcome any other organisations too to get in touch with us if they think they, if they'd like to get involved in that programme of Zoom workshops. And then I've mentioned the community engagement team already, but I wanted to give them a particular shout out because Stephanie, Alana, Reem, Sunny, Kate and Bethan have been doing amazing work behind the scenes to make sure that on a day-by-day basis, pretty much 7 days a week, those local community support groups and other people who want to engage or work with Oxfordshire All In have someone who they can talk to directly. Final case study, coordination and strategy. I've just put a few organisations that we've done some really fantastic work with. I just want to pull out a few examples. So really recently, Team Oxford, we've had some fantastic conversations over the last few days. Further to their launch, I'd encourage anyone to go and have a look at their website. There's some fantastic potential and work already happening there, and we're looking forward to supporting that. The organisations I've mentioned on the survey side already, but then we've been grateful to be able to have the opportunity to support and promote the work of people like Sophia, Oxfordshire Mind, and also to work alongside the adults and children's safeguarding boards to make sure that the right kind of safeguarding information's getting out there to the right people too. I've mentioned Oxfordshire County Council. We've been working very closely with them for the last few weeks, and that's been a real pleasure. A couple of final slides. So one is why Keen. So Oxfordshire All In is a project of Keen, and in some ways that's slightly unusual. It's certainly a different type of work to what we're doing normally, but in other ways, it actually coheres really well with what we do. And so I've just wanted to highlight a few of those. I guess we like to think of ourselves as nimble and effective. I suppose that's for other people to judge ultimately. But we definitely do try to be a big, small charity in the sense that we mobilise a big volunteer team. We have a very small staff team, but we like to try to achieve a lot for that. So we've applied some useful existing capacity in the following areas: collaboration and partnership. I mentioned already, we took a lead role in establishing the Additional Needs Partnership, and we've tried to employ some of that experience and understanding to this project. Rapid infrastructure development. The Oxfordshire All In website, from conception through to design to launch, took about 10 hours, which we were really proud of at the time. Of course, there's been all sorts of work since. Strategic planning, and something else I guess must have been in there originally in my head, but I suppose I've alluded to that already. And mobilising large numbers of volunteers, and our team's been absolutely fantastic. So moving on from that point in particular, I just wanted to say thank you to that wonderful volunteer team who are really doing fantastic work for us. I also want to say thank you to all of the colleagues and partners across the voluntary, public and private sectors who have supported us too and helped us to be able to work as flexibly and as simply as possible. To OCF for the grant that they gave us a few weeks ago, that is supporting the direct costs of this core work, or this core project at the moment. And without that, we certainly wouldn't be able to be doing it. And not least, of course, to all of those people across Oxfordshire. Some I know are on the call today from our community support groups, who are just doing such unbelievable work to support communities and each other at this time. Thank you to you also for listening. I've gone over by a minute or two, I think.
That's all right. We're forgiving you.
And I shall just leave this slide up for a moment to let you know what some of our next steps are. One of those, apart from looking at how we support Recover Stronger, is to invite further engagement and proposals from organisations interested in Oxfordshire All In and what future it might have. And we're really happy to hear from anyone who's got anything they'd like to discuss on any of those 3 points.